What happens when one of the world's biggest aviation markets suddenly freezes its orders overnight? This isn't a routine supply chain hiccup. This is a full-scale freeze, and it's shaking the foundations of the global aerospace industry. China, a customer once projected to buy nearly a quarter of all new airplanes over the next 2 decades, has effectively slammed the brakes on Boeing orders. And this isn't just bad news, it's catastrophic. Because in the aerospace world, your order book isn't just a list of future sales, it's your heartbeat. It's what determines how you plan production, invest in new technology, and keep your vast supply chain alive. When that book freezes, the entire machine starts breaking down. The damage isn't just immediate lost revenue, it's the message it sends to the world. It tells every airline from Jakarta to Johannesburg that doing business with Boeing now carries a new kind of geopolitical risk. Beijing's move didn't just hit Boeing's finances, it struck at its global reputation as a stable, reliable partner. Now you might wonder, can't Boeing just absorb this hit? The answer is a resounding no. And the reason why reveals a much deeper vulnerability. Boeing was already in trouble long before this freeze. It was fighting battles on multiple fronts. A major strike in its defense division had already halted critical projects. At the same time, the company had to announce yet another delay for its flagship 777X jet. It's a classic case of internal weakness meeting external pressure, and China knew it. By striking at a moment when Boeing was already struggling, Beijing maximized the impact of its retaliation. They exposed a truth the world can't ignore. America's industrial giants have weak spots. The lesson here is profound. In modern economic warfare, you don't have to match your rival's strength blow for blow. You just need to target their most fragile point, and Boeing was exactly that. But what set this chain reaction in motion? It started in Washington with a bold decision to impose tariffs as high as 145% on key Chinese industrial goods. The logic behind it seems straightforward: make foreign products more expensive to protect American jobs and industries. On paper it sounds patriotic, but in a deeply interconnected global economy, this kind of move acts less like a shield and more like a boomerang. When you make it nearly impossible for China to sell its goods to you, they don't back down. They evolve, they innovate, they diversify, and they build new supply chains that don't depend on you at all. So instead of a knockout punch, the 145% tariff became a wake-up call, one that accelerated China's drive for total self-reliance. The very policy meant to protect American industries ended up funding their strongest future competitors. China's counterattack was nothing short of strategic brilliance. Rather than engage in a simple tit-for-tat tariff war, Beijing started rewriting the global rulebook. They began creating a new economic playing field, one where the US dollar and American companies no longer sit at the center. We're now seeing billion-dollar deals in aircraft technology and energy that once went to American firms being rerouted to BRICS partners: Russia, Brazil, India, South Africa, and beyond. This isn't mere retaliation. It's a deliberate restructuring of the global economy. China's goal is clear: build an ecosystem so independent and interconnected that US tariffs lose all meaning. And that's a far more dangerous long-term threat to America than any short-term trade battle. Now, with Boeing frozen out, someone has to fill the gap. Enter COMAC and its rising star, the C919 jet. For years, Western analysts mocked COMAC as a state-funded experiment, a wannabe that could never rival Boeing or Airbus. But that perception is dangerously outdated. The C919 is a modern, efficient, single-aisle jet built to challenge the Boeing 737 and Airbus A320 head-on. And thanks to the trade war, it now has something Boeing desperately needs: a massive, protected home market. China's airlines are being encouraged, even compelled, to buy Chinese. That gives COMAC a guaranteed customer base, a long runway to perfect its production, refine its technology, and scale up faster than anyone expected. It's a proven formula for building a global champion. Start at home, then take on the world. COMAC isn't just building airplanes, it's building a full industrial ecosystem. And Washington's tariff policy has handed them the perfect opening to accelerate that process. But while China and COMAC surge ahead, another quiet winner is emerging: Europe's Airbus. Think of Airbus as the calm, neutral party in a messy divorce. It's perfectly positioned to gain from Boeing's downfall without taking sides in the US-China rivalry. As Chinese airlines move away from Boeing, Airbus becomes the natural substitute. They've already secured massive new orders from China, seizing market share that once belonged to their American rival. Meanwhile, in the rest of the world, airlines that don't yet trust COMAC's unproven jets are turning to Airbus as the safer, established option. But Airbus isn't just taking advantage of timing, it's playing the long game. The company is deepening ties inside China by producing more parts locally, creating jobs and earning political goodwill. In doing so, Airbus is embedding itself within China's industrial system, making it less of an outsider and more of a strategic partner. So now, Airbus is capturing customers on both sides, the go-to supplier for China and the reliable choice for everyone else, while Boeing remains trapped in the middle. But this story is bigger than Boeing, COMAC, or Airbus. What we're witnessing is the rise of the BRICS economic bloc as a genuine global alternative. It's no longer just a political idea, it's becoming an operational, self-sufficient trade network. Think of BRICS as a new members-only club for global commerce, one that doesn't need Western approval or US dollars to function. Russia, India, Saudi Arabia, and Brazil bring raw materials, huge consumer markets, and investment capital. China contributes the manufacturing power and aircraft like the C919. Together, they're building supply chains, financial systems, and aviation standards that operate independently of the West. Even their trade is shifting. More deals in local currencies, fewer in dollars. For aviation, that's a game changer. Airlines in countries like Ethiopia or Indonesia can now get financing from a BRICS development bank, buy COMAC jets, and pay in yuan or local currency. It's a self-contained ecosystem, from financing to production to delivery, all outside the reach of US influence. This ensures COMAC's long-term success. It doesn't have to beat Boeing in America, it just needs to dominate this vast new network being built across the global south. So, is America's tough trade policy working? The evidence says no. Instead of protecting US industries, it's accelerating the rise of their biggest competitors. The strategy meant to assert dominance is now pushing the world to unite against American economic control. For decades, US power was rooted in a global system dependent on the dollar and American innovation. But by weaponizing that system with tariffs, Washington has shown the world just how vulnerable reliance on the US can be. And the result? Other nations are building a parallel one. The real cost isn't the temporary gain from tariff revenue. It's the permanent erosion of America's economic leadership. The world is learning one crucial lesson. The only way to be safe from American economic pressure is to stop depending on America altogether. And that single realization is reshaping the global order right before our eyes. Because what's happening to Boeing doesn't stay with Boeing. It's a warning for every cornerstone US industry, from semiconductors to electric vehicles to pharmaceuticals. The same forces are in play everywhere. Rising geopolitical tensions, trade weaponization, and the rapid growth of capable foreign competitors. Boeing's crisis is a case study in how fast dominance can collapse when internal weaknesses meet external pressure. If America's industrial giants don't strengthen their foundations, and if Washington continues down this fragmented trade path, we could see this same story repeat across multiple sectors. And the outcome wouldn't just be corporate losses. It would be a deeper, structural weakening of America's industrial base and its economic security. So where does that leave us? We are no longer living in a single, unified global economy. That era is over. The dream of seamless interconnection is fading, replaced by two competing worlds. One led by the US and its allies, the other driven by a tightly knit BRICS alliance. This isn't a new Cold War. It's an economic decoupling on a global scale. For businesses, it means learning to operate under two separate sets of rules. For nations, it means walking a diplomatic tightrope. And for ordinary people, it could shape everything from global stability to the prices we pay for basic goods. The Boeing saga is our clearest signal yet. This new world order isn't on the horizon. It's already here. Thanks for watching. If this helped, subscribe and share your thoughts below.